We're going to record. Perfect. Okay, so can you spell your first name for me?
Kimberley.
Wow, it's so interesting because if you look at the letter energy of your name, like if you see the first stroke, it's a K, right? So it goes down and then it comes in this way. So it's bringing forward and then it goes down. So this, like what this says is that you're a channeler of messages. So they come to you, but it's not where you hold them, it's where you give them back to the world. And so it's like also with this particular letter energy, for you, it's all about balance. So it's like receiving the information and then sharing the information. And this just for you is just like this gift. Now, sometimes because for you it's so fluent, like the messages are so fluent and they come from you from a higher sort of energy, a higher dimension. There's times where, you know, like you just offer it, but not like, you know, the only thing is not everybody asks. So it might get you in trouble a bit because you'll say, oh my God, like, don't you see, this is all you have to do. And not everybody has that insight. So sometimes you just like, you know, I have this golden rule that I really don't ask anybody. So I don't sort of offer the information unless they ask me. And I mean, so just so you know, but for you, it's almost like you can't even help yourself. Like it just comes to you just like in messages and you see it right away. The next letter, which is your essence letter, this is the first vowel of your name, is an I. So what this speaks of is independence, a person that knows exactly who they are, but it also speaks about receiving. So for you, with your first letter being really about the balance of receiving and generating messages and giving them, for you, there definitely is a difficulty with receiving as opposed to giving. Like, does that make sense to you?
Yes, absolutely.
So for you, it's hard to receive. It's like, and no doubt in mind, there's an armoring that's connected with that. So it's like, and when you think about it, for us to receive, we have to be vulnerable, like totally vulnerable in order to receive help or to ask for help. So one thing I definitely want you to do in the year 2020 is receive more. If somebody says, oh, you look beautiful today, it's like, well, thank you so much. Or, oh, that was an amazing thing that you did. It's like, thank you so much. And I mean, part of it is because there's a warrior spirit inside of you. And part of it is just that feeling of vulnerability for you at times feels completely like it's almost like an exposure for you. The M, which is right beside these, your first two letters, if you look at it, it really is about a protection. So, and this is what I find so interesting because I do know that you're a practitioner and I do know that you give of yourself. Like, I'm not going to pretend I don't know who you are. But it's just really interesting because the people, the practitioners that give the most are protected the most. And so if you look at it kind of comes, it's almost as if you like insulate yourself. Also with an M energy, it speaks about anxiety. Like if you look at it, it goes down and up and down and up and down and up. So this lets me know that a part of your soul is very comfortable with being just a little bit anxious. And so, you know, if you're not worried about one of your children, you might be worried about your work. If you're not worried about your work, you may be worried about your partner. I mean, and this is old. Like you came in with this anxiety and it would have been your soul has memory of it. Your last letter, which is very cool, is a Y. So if you look at your capstone letter, which is a K, which is an unusual letter, and then you look at the Y, this lets me know in a past life, you were an outcast. Like you would just been a bit out there. And I mean, and you wouldn't have fit in. And it's not that if people were like understood that you were very gifted at whatever it was that you did, but they were uncertain of what to do with it because the information you brought forward was very progressive. So they'd be sitting there going, what the hell? Like this girl, like she's way the frig out there. And so there's a part of your soul that is very sensitive to that. So even as a child, you would feel like I don't fit, or people don't get me, or I'm not understood, or I just feel kind of alone and sort of like this island. And that can
Right.
definitely be a part of why you have a difficult time receiving, because in a past life, I guarantee you'd have to armor yourself because of that heartbreak. Very sensitive, beautiful soul. But it would be like, and our response to rejection is either we strike out or we implode. And so, no doubt.
Yeah.
Your birth year?
1960.
Wow. When I was downloading my deck, it was really neat because it's taken me 3 years to get my past life deck together. And I don't get the deck together and go, okay, what's the definition of this? What I do is I go to bed and I wake up and I say, show me the definition. And this particular download for me, which is the energy of the chariot, it was probably one of the emotional downloads I ever got. And when I woke up, I was laying on my back in this field, and there was a light rain falling on me. And I knew immediately that I was a soldier, but I wasn't just a soldier. I was a leader. I was like a major. I had power. And as I was lying on my back, all of my comrades, there were several of them around me that were dying, and there were several of them that were dead. And this, as I was looking up to the sky, I felt like a complete failure. I felt like I had failed my comrades. And it was just so amazing because my job downloading the deck is not to restore the energy of the deck. I'm a scribe. It's like, okay, you tell me what the information is, and I'm going to scribe it. And, here is this soldier, and his heart is broken, and he feels responsible, and he feels like he's failed. And so once I scribed it, it was so amazing because I wanted just to have a conversation with that soldier and say, listen, the reason you died the last is because you fought the longest and the hardest. And so if that, so in how that translates in this lifetime is that you just feel you need to save. There's a part of your soul that believes in some way you failed your comrades in the past. So in this lifetime, you're highly protective, like you just give of yourself and you just feel like you don't want to fail, or you can't see someone suffer, or you just feel responsible for their suffering. Very devoted, very dedicated, very protective, like you absolutely protective of anyone that you love. Or even if you were in a lineup and you saw somebody being mistreated, like you would have to say something. Like you would just say, I'm sorry, this is not acceptable. Like this is wrong. And so there really is this beautiful warrior inside of you. And so if that resonates with you, and often what happens is because of our past life injuries that we bring forward that are not resolved, we just feel like we just need to save. And that's part of the reason why it's difficult for you to receive. So if that vision speaks to you, one
It
thing I
does.
definitely would do is I would go to the heart of the soldier. I would take, and I know you can do this, you take yourself back to that field. Like it was so clear for me, Kimberly.
Okay.
I could
Hmm.
smell, I could smell the wet grass. I could smell the blood. I could smell the mud. I could smell everything. And it was like his last breath was, I failed. I just failed. So it's almost as if you want to do a past life regression back to that field.
Okay.
There's also no doubt in my mind, because of what you witnessed as a soldier, you'd be very sensitive to any type of conflict. Like even when there's the threat of it, you would just feel like this absolute fear inside of you surface because of what you witnessed in a past life. There could also be like soldiers in war. They have to do difficult things. And, you know, and I mean, I believe our soul has memory of that. So even that, you know, it's where you regress back to that soldier laying in that field and you just say to him, you know what? You were a hero. You were amazing. You gave all of yourself you gave to the people that you were protecting. And I want you just to stay there. And I want you to stay there because like the cool thing is the download. I was not present when he passed. I was just there. And then the vision kind of left before I could be with him. And I don't believe that that's a coincidence. It's for the people that resonate with this particular past life, that they can go there and be with that soldier as he passes and just say, oh my God, you're just a hero. In this life, what it means is that you literally just will give it all. Like you just give it all. And if for some reason the person is still struggling, you feel it's your responsibility. And so as you're lying there in that field, it's like, I'm not responsible. Like I'm not, like I'll be here, but I just cannot take that all on. Your month?
April.
Wow. So you would have been a huge leader. Like you would have been a leader. And so like for you, no doubt in my mind, and this is what's really interesting as I'm speaking to you, like in a past life, because you were a soldier, it would be almost as if a lot of your energy was up in here. So your mind, you would have sort of shielded yourself of emotion just because you had great power in terms of leadership. And so there would be a part of you that really didn't spend a lot of time with your emotional development because you were this logical leader. At times you would have been difficult to reason with. You know, like you would have been a powerful leader and you'd know the way you'd see it. And it's like, no, I'm not talking about it. This is the way it's going to be. And this, I'm making this decision. I'm in this power. And so,
Makes
you know,
sense.
sometimes in this life, you know, you'd be a hard negotiator. Like, it's like, no, I'm not negotiating. This is the way I want it done. Also, this really speaks about the fact that, you know, for you, you take everything that you do is a responsibility. And I guarantee that you are a natural born leader, that you came to this world as a leader. And as a leader, you're here to be able to promote and support the healing of other people. Here, no doubt that you get a bit stuck in your head. And so, and there's also a conflict inside of you. And I do believe it's connected with the same lifetime where you're an emotional person, but you're a very logical person. So one thing I would do in this lifetime is just make peace with that. Like, I'm a
Okay.
logical person. I'm a logical person. I'm a numerologist, but I'm also deeply spiritual. So it's like, and I'm fine with that. And so really when you look at that opposing force, that logic versus this faith, it's really being able to decide where you want to be in it. For you,
Okay.
with this emperor, like it's really interesting because it's almost as if you have to be 10 steps ahead, like in this life.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
you got to prepare for what you
Yes.
believe is coming. And so if I were to ask you, what do you believe you're preparing for?
Oh, good question. I believe that I'm preparing for a life that I've always wanted of my dreams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and see,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like there's a drive inside of you. There is a drive. And
Yeah.
so the one thing that I also want you to consider is underneath the drive associated with the past life is a dread.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a dread of something bad that's going to happen, or, you know, preparing for, and it's not that you're a negative person. It's just that when you come from a past life where there's been a struggle and there's been emotional injury, it's like your soul just needs to prepare you for that. The other
Right.
thing that's interesting with the emperor, aspect that you carry is there definitely is an emotional wall. So in other words, even if you're hurt or wounded by something, you literally will put up a wall and just push through it. And in this life, because that vulnerability for you just feels like an exposure, but it's where you just literally say, I'm completely fine with being vulnerable because that's the beauty that I bring to this world. I'm so, like just that
Makes
exposure.
sense. Yeah,
I
makes
mean,
sense.
like think about it. Like how can a leader and a leader that is a natural born leader fall apart?
Right.
you know so it's like just being able to look at that armoring. And what I would do if I were you, which is very cool because I know you could do this too, and there's no doubt in my mind the clients that are drawn to you have an armor. So it's where you call and you beckon the armor to have a seat right in front of you and say,
Okay.
we're going to renegotiate this. Because the problem with armor, like no doubt you believe deep in your heart that the armor protects you.
Yes.
What if you're wrong?
Ooh.
What if the armor
Oh.
makes it impossible for you to receive?
Receive. Yes, I was just thinking that if the armor's making it impossible for me to go forward, receive. Wow. So it's actually blocking, maybe.
Well, it's just like, I mean, there's no doubt, like, think about this soldier laying down in the
Yeah.
field. It's like, and he feels like he has failed. And so then we armor ourselves. And so one thing I definitely would do is, and like you're a bit out there, you can literally beckon your armor and say, okay, you know what? You and I are going to sit down and we're going to renegotiate this. And the other thing that I definitely would do, Kimberly, is not everything activates our armor. And for you, it would just come right up. Like you would just, it'd go
Yeah.
bam and it would come up. So
Yeah.
one thing I want you just to be very aware of your triggers. Like if your partner triggers you, if one of your children or a friend or an event or an experience triggers you, instead of reacting to it, it's like, wow, like my armor is activated. Like what is going on around me that is causing it to kind of come to surface. And it's where, like me, I was armored, totally armored. I was so shut off and I couldn't receive. And so I needed to renegotiate with my armor. Your day?
April 26th. 26.
See, and that's what's very cool. Is no doubt in my mind that you were like 6, 7, 8, 9. No doubt, like this is what's so cool. Like I mean, you were way out there. Like you were way out there in the past life. Like there's no doubt in my mind. A part of you was very, very logical in your movement, and there was a part of you that was quite reckless. So I mean,
Yeah.
you were the person that would take extreme risks and like you would just put yourself out there to save other people, and people would just go, what the hell are you doing? Like you can't do that. And so I mean, for you, you were an advocate, so you were all about empowerment. You were
Mm-hmm.
all about being a mirror for people, being kind of a balancer in your life. What is the first letter of your last name?
H.
Yeah, see, that's a bridge. That's a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are here to bridge the gap between the logic and the emotional. I guarantee you.
Okay. Makes sense. Totally makes sense.
Yeah, it's like there's a part of you that will really have a beautiful conversation with yourself
Mm-hmm.
about, like as women, we've been conditioned to believe that being vulnerable makes us look weak, and
Yes.
it's not true.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable and all of that. The other thing too, it almost feels like for you, I would also try to figure out, it's almost as if there's been so much growth in this lifetime that you can't feel the edge of your field. So it's
Oh.
being able to feel the edge of your field. Like, you know, some people say, like, obviously our energetic field, I could fill this room with my
Hmm.
energetic field, but this is about your personal boundaries. So for you, it feels almost as if you can't feel the edge because in this lifetime you've gone deep into your emotions. So one thing I definitely would do is I would, like, for 9 days, I call it the 9-day restorative. It's where you literally feel the edge of your field. And then what you do is you bring it in tight, then you push it out to the tips of the fingertips. Then you bring it in and have it lay on your field and then push it out.
Okay.
Because I believe the energetic field feels exactly the same way as our lungs. It goes in and out,
Out.
in and out. And what's really interesting with you, and we do know that we have an energetic field,
Yes.
because say, for instance, you're walking late at night and somebody comes up behind you, your field comes right in like this, and it
Hmm.
stays there until that person either walks a different way or you get into your house. And even then, you have to shake it off. So I believe because of your past life experience as a soldier, that you wore your field very close. So
Okay.
this would impact your lungs, it would impact your breath, because your field, like anybody who comes to see me that has a panic attack, I know their field is laying right close to their skin, so they can't breathe. So it's like, okay,
Great.
let's bring out your field,
Okay.
and so I know where the edge is. Let me just see. Wow, you're in a shedding year. Do you want to know something that's very cool? Is you're in the very same vibration as you were when you were laying in that field in a past life.
Wow. Gives me shivers.
I know.
Yeah, it
It's
gives
like
me shivers.
this is where you get to go back and you get to honor your bravery, honor your leadership, honor the fact that you did everything that you could, and it's like you are in the very same vibration. Like, how powerful is that? Last year something happened to open up your heart. What happened last year?
Um, in 2019,
Yes.
um, well, I was employed trying to get my business together, and in 2019, my husband got another DUI and tried to commit suicide while I
Just
was
so,
gone away for the weekend with my girlfriends.
and just so you know, love, you get to make peace with that too. Do you know what I mean? It's like you get to make peace with that. It's like, it's one of these things that would have triggered all sorts of stuff. And do you think, love, it's a coincidence that you drew a male to you that you feel you have to save?
Yes, it's not a coincidence. It's there.
Don't you
Yeah,
think, don't you think that's amazing?
yeah. It's always been that way. That I always felt that I've had to save them.
And you want to know something? Like, honestly, this is the year. Because think about it. Here you have a partner, and like, there is no judgment,
Nope,
absolutely no judgment, right?
nope.
But here you have a partner that you can't emotionally trust. So
That's right.
it keeps you anxious. So what's
Yes.
really beautiful is this year you get to say, okay, like, I'm just going to have to make peace with this. Your husband's birth year
1965,
and the month
July
and the day.
30th.
Just so you know, I mean, he is a natural born leader. The reason that you connect is I truly believe that you have a soul connection in a past life. And there's no doubt in my mind with your husband that in a past life, he did not want to go anywhere near his emotions, like not even close.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like I don't want to know. I don't want to feel. I'm not going to do any of that. And so this life, in this incarnation, he came, and it's almost as if his emotional development has been really stunted.
Oh yeah.
Because like,
100%.
and let me say this to you, Kimberly, he is a natural born leader. And then he has like, and when it comes to certain things, there's no doubt in my mind. It's like, okay, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And I believe that what his issue is because in a past life, he did not go anywhere near his emotion. And so in this lifetime, even if he's a grown adult, his emotional development would feel like he's like 14 years old. It was really interesting. I did a reading, a clearing for a guy a few years ago, that same with your husband, just didn't know how to deal with his emotion. And he came to see me for a clearing, and he reached out to me the next day and said, Lindsay, like, I just feel like I want to cry. And I'm going, good for you. Your emotion is going to be restored. But it's just being able to see that, because there's no doubt in my mind that this particular male is very creative. When he loves with all of his heart. But a lot of his anxiety it's almost as because in a past life, he did not go into his heart. So he pulled himself in and absorbed his emotion into his body. So that's why there's this constant thing going like this inside of him.
Which
like,
is today.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you know what really neat is, like, there's no doubt in my mind that, if you think about your response to what happened, how did you respond?
I was not there that weekend. And then I came home and then I found out that he had another DUI. So I told him that, we'd make it work. We'll stick by each other and make it work. And then this year, 2020, has been totally different. He reached out to an old friend of his that he's been having an emotional affair with. And now we're living in the same house, but separate bedrooms, because he doesn't know what he wants. He took off Thanksgiving weekend for 3.5 days, and I never heard from him.
Yeah.
So he's so confused right now on what he wants.
Yeah.
And I want to save him. I want to be there for him. I want to help him out through this impaired charge.
Yeah. And I'm here to say, like, all I know is this, is
Yeah.
you are in a shedding year. You are in a shedding year. Let me say this to you, Kimberly. We will draw people to us that distract us from our own power.
Yes.
You understand
Very
that
true.
he's a distraction for you.
Yeah.
And he needs to take responsibility for himself. And I swear that a part of you is just afraid of you focusing on you.
100% true.
Don't you think that's amazing? Like, listen, before I met Lloyd, I
Yeah.
dated a lot of guys that I literally had to take care of. Like, I was the same way. You lost your job. Okay, don't worry. We'll figure it out. Okay, like, you're drinking again. And like, and I was I was a band-aid. I was a band-aid. And finally, I made a reckoning with myself and said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I am not doing this anymore. And so, no doubt, what I did was I made the decision that I was going to seek out a relationship, but I was going to bring a very different spin to it for myself personally. And look what I ended up with. I ended up with a male who is 100% aware of himself, confident. Since I've met him, we've opened a store, I've written a book, I've created 2 decks, I've learned how to do jewelry. I've got to be honest with you, love. This is about you. This is not about your husband. He's going to do whatever he's going to do, because think about it. Let's be honest. A bit of manipulation going on, because he gets a DUI. And then what he does is he tries to, kill himself. And you see how, because of that, he's not going to get in trouble for the DUI. Good.
Got it.
As long as you get it, right?
Yeah, no, I got it. Yeah. And there's been like lies. Like, he reached out to this girl because he said he couldn't talk to me. Yeah. And it's an ex-girlfriend, and he's bought like 2 other cell phones so we could talk to her, so I don't see it, and just constant. And I'm like, well, just too much.
Yeah.
But I think the straw the straw that broke the camel's back was Thanksgiving weekend when I found the cell phone and I just asked him why, and he just took off that night and went straight up to her. She
Yeah.
picked him up, and he stayed 3.5 days and shut off his phone. So
Yeah.
again, I didn't know if he was alive or dead. So he did it like I had no idea.
But you want to know something? I have to say this to you, Kimberly. You are in a liberation year. You are in a shedding year. You are
Yeah.
this close to just restoring your balance so that you can focus on your gifts. You have come to this life to be an extraordinary channeler of wisdom and all of it, right?
And
so
that's
like
what I want. Yeah.
and like,
Truly.
because think about it. Here's a question I have for you, and you know that I'm bringing it to you, right?
Yep.
Why? It's not so much what he's doing.
Yeah.
I want you just to ask yourself why it's acceptable to you. And you don't have to answer me. I want you, and that's because I believe that there's something empty inside of you, love, and that this behavior that he's doing it's not so much what he's doing, it's why it's acceptable to you. And I believe that because of your past life where you felt that you failed, the only reason this beautiful, amazing, powerful, spiritual leader would accept this is because she believes she deserves some sort of punishment.
Right.
Your father's birth year?
Oh geez, he's passed. 1930.
And his month?
January
And his day?
5th.
And you understand for your father that you were an anchor.
Wow.
And so we learn how male love feels. So if we believe that we love men through being their anchor, that's why you would draw a male to you that is so out of control. And I'm just here to say to you, like, I know you're in a shedding year. I know, and this is what I say, don't even worry. Don't even worry, darling. One day you're going to say, I've had enough and this is done. There's no doubt in my mind. And so that's one thing I definitely want you just to consider is why. Because think about it. It just keeps you in a state like this.
Yes, it does. It totally does. Yes, it
And
does.
and I'm telling you, like, I mean, like, there's no doubt in my mind. Like, I mean, and it's one of these things, like, it's when I was in recovery, and God knows that I'm still in recovery. The problem with it was that I just felt like a fake. You know, people would come for a reading and I would give them these most amazing readings. And then they'd walk away and I'm going, oh, I'm glad that you got something out of this because like my life's a friggin' mess.
Right,
And I
yeah.
felt like a fake. And
Yeah.
finally I said, no, if I'm meant to do this work, then I'm going to commit my life to this work. And it was really interesting. I was dating this guy that was a train wreck. I mean, the guy literally was a train wreck. And it was just like you, this one day, and my whole life was focused on him. This one day, I was sitting there watching Ellen, and I got up and said, I don't even like Ellen. I'm going home. And for me, it was over. And so, like, you understand, like, let me ask you a question. Do you emotionally trust your husband?
No.
Good. Because I'm here to say, without emotional trust, I call it a slow death.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm
Yeah.
not saying to you that you need to go home and call things off. What I'm saying
Nope.
to you is because of this past life experience, you tell me why. Let's see if it was in reverse, Kimberly. Let's see if I phone you and I say, you know, Kimberly, Lloyd is, you know, gone off. He's seeing someone from his past and I don't know where he is. What would you say to me?
I would tell you just to leave right away.
That's-
Yeah. I would just tell
Don't
you
you-
just to leave.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And don't you
I would just
love
say
that?
forget it because it's just, yeah. And which I can say that to somebody else, but I can't take it on my own.
And I'm here to say is yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. I mean, it's one of these things, like I have to be honest with you. And I mean, there was a couple of times in my life that I may not have been here. And I know that I manipulated my family to get what I wanted. I mean, at the end of the day, I finally had to say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And I just have absolute faith in you. Like, do you know how many people are out there in relationships that are toxic to their soul and they need a leader to come out and say, I knew I was scared, but I left anyways. I knew that I felt responsible, but I left anyways. I
Yeah.
knew that I deserved being punished, but I decided I wasn't going to do that anymore. And you are in a shedding year, right on the cusp of a huge spiritual reconciliation. And like you need to go to that soldier, darling. Here's a card. Here's a card for you. See this? It's a grip. It's a fear grip.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Okay. And this grip is old. And so if I were to ask you, where do you feel the grip in your body?
My left shoulder, my back, like my left shoulder, my lung.
Yeah.
Fear of
And what's,
abandonment.
yeah, you want to know something? I don't know if it's fear of abandonment because the shoulders for me represent burden, responsibility.
Ah, response. Okay.
The left
Yep.
is the past. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. I love that. Just so you know, like we believe that it's fear of abandonment, and trust me, you and I both know that that's what we know
Right.
because people have left our life. So it's
Yes.
not a fear of abandonment. This you said, and I believe you because you're way out there, powerful. Left shoulder, that's a weight, and the left is all about past life.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you another card. This lets me know this is just emotion, like you're over your head, love.
Yeah.
You just
It's
got a
drowning.
lot going on and you're just drowning and overwhelmed.
Yeah. Drowning for sure.
And see, what's really neat is that's what's going on with your lungs, is just this all this grief. Because deep down inside, there's no doubt in my mind that there's a scream inside of you.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I swear, at some point, you and I are going to put on this gig where we literally get a painting canvas and just get it all out. Because there is no doubt in my mind that deep down inside, you are so angry with this male. No doubt. And you're a little cranky with yourself. I'm going to bring in
Yes.
this card. Look at this. I am so glad you got this card. Do you see this card, love?
Yes.
That's a shaman.
Okay. Yeah.
That is a powerful shaman. And that's who you are. No doubt in my mind. And this medicine you carry inside of your soul is old, really old. And he is a distraction.
Yes.
Because you're afraid to step in your power. I'm going to give you another card.
I totally agree with that. 100%.
See this? Creative. Just this beautiful artist. Like for you,
nice.
creative. And think about your creative energy. Think about what you bring. And when we put it in somebody else, it's a complete distraction. No doubt in my mind. I'm going to give you one more card. This is a shapeshifter.
Shapeshifter, yes.
It's a mask.
Yeah.
So part of it is like you don't want to look at things. Part of it is there's a trickster around you. Part of it is like really unveiling yourself. Because you and I both know there's no doubt in my mind that you were contracted to do this work. And there's no doubt that for you, that spiritual leaders come from the ashes. And I just know that you're in a place where you're just saying, no, I'm not doing this. One thing I would suggest you strongly, come up with a plan B.
Okay.
Okay, you don't
Yep.
have to execute the plan, but you need a plan B,
Okay.
because people allow themselves, like, do things because we allow them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Yes.
you, do you remember when I said to you, you have no sense of your personal
Personal.
boundaries? Like, there's no doubt in my mind. And it's like, there's no doubt. Can you imagine if you can overcome this challenge, this shamanic challenge that you're facing, and go into your fear and go into it and come up with that line, how much you would be able to help people? Because trust me, there are so many people that are so afraid to change.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. I've actually been journaling a lot about my journey. So since this has been going on since February when this started, and yeah, so I've just been journaling a lot about my journey, and he told me he would break it off with her. There's nothing sexual, but he keeps running to her. So, but
Yeah.
I've been journaling a lot about it. Why he can't talk to me.
Yeah. And this, I'm here to say, darling, this has nothing to do with you. It
Mm-hmm.
has nothing to do with you.
It's all him. Yeah.
It's all about him. And
Him.
what I find interesting is why his behavior is acceptable to you, but there's no doubt in my mind. And I do have to say this, I do not believe this just started since February. I think that this has gone on for a long, long time. I think that he is a symptom. If it weren't him, it would have been another male just like him. And so it's like just being able to, like, I just know. And that's what I love about these readings is you need to go to the soldier.
Mm-hmm.
You need to figure out where your field is, because you just need to know where it is. Here's my field, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you need to really talk to your armor, and you really need to be able to come up with a plan B. And trust me, I just know that this is a shamanic test for you.
And it makes sense because this is my third marriage that this has happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense when you say that.
And I mean, think about it. It's like, it's just one of these beautiful, I guarantee you that something happened early in your life, that you had a soul fracture that you have never recovered from, and
Yeah.
it has kept you empty. So we fill it with people that are a mess.
Yeah. 100%. Yes.
And so I want you definitely to do the homework. It's going to really change, because I mean, I just truly believe that it just keeps you in a state of anxiety. And I believe that you came, like, think about, here's a soldier dying on a field. Think about
Mm-hmm.
how he came into this next incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when my
Mm-hmm.
father was passing away, when my father was dying, I said to him, there is no way you're leaving this earth like this. No way
Mm-hmm.
in this world. And one of the most amazing moments for me, my father used to cling to the hospital bed, is when he stopped clinging. It's like
Oh,
beautiful.
yes. Okay.
So I want you to think about the grip. I want you to think about the shaman energy. I want
Yep.
you to think about the creative, beautiful energy that's inside of you. I want you to think about the manipulation. I want you to think about the trickster, because I guarantee if you confront those things and not run, you are just going to empower yourself.
Okay. I will. 100%. Absolutely.
Did you enjoy your reading?
I did.
What did it give
Yes.
you?
It gave me clarity and peace of mind that it's not me. Like
No.
I always thought that I was at fault and I'm not at fault.
Yeah.
And I
Do you
can't
see?
I can't I can't I can't save him. He has to change himself or save himself. I can't do that saving for him.
Yeah, but you want to know something? I'm telling you straight up, and I've done this work for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's a manipulation, in a sense. It's an emotional manipulation in order for him to get away with going and running around with another woman. That's what this is.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm saying is it's why is that acceptable to you, Kimberly? Why? It's like, and
Right.
he is a symptom. And I'm sure he's a very, very nice person. Like there's
Yes, he
no doubt in
is.
my mind. But at
Mhm.
the same time, this is about you. And there's no doubt in my mind that you are afraid of your power because of what happened in the past life. And I'm here to say that you got the shamanic card. There's 78 cards in this deck. There is one card that speaks of the shaman medicine, and that was it.
I feel blessed. I do.
You are blessed.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, but it's like a challenge, right? It's like this personal challenge. And I understand, like, trust me, the male that I dated before Lloyd, I mean,
Mhm.
honestly, it was like he was my greatest teacher of what I did not want. But I had to
Wow.
make room. I had to make room for the person in my life to be able to come forward. And like, I'm just here to say, darling, and I mean it in the most respectful way.
Mhm.
This person is a distraction. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. He is a distraction. Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. You know, I always thought he was my biggest cheerleader. I always said he was, but I believe because it's all of his actions. Like he's had 2 DUIs in the last 3 years. So I've been helping him with the 2 of them. And I believe that that's the distraction part is just because he is not only ruining his life, but it's also my life included as well.
And I'm here
Yeah.
to say to you that it's like, you know what? All I know is that you are in the very same energy as you were in that lifetime, lying on that grass
Field.
as a
Yep.
soldier, feeling responsible. And I'm here to say, you're not responsible.
Responsible. Yeah.
Like, you don't have to let your ship go down because this person, and let's be honest, a person gets 2 DUIs, there's a numbing issue going on with your partner, and he
Yes.
doesn't take responsibility for that. And so for
Yeah.
you, all it translates is you're always anxious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So laying in the field, bringing it in, put my arms out, get to the edge. Okay.
Yeah,
Would you be able to send me this recording so I can listen to it again?
of course.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
beautiful transparency.
Yeah.
I'm most grateful, and I'm going to be
Thank
on
you.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be in to see you guys soon in the store. I just have been dealing with a lot of stuff, so I haven't gone out
You know
far.
what? Just know that we're just here, and I just
Okay.
honor your path. Okay,
Okay.
love?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Bye, doll.
Give Lloyd
Thank
a hug
you.
for me as well, and Krista.
I will. Bye,
Okay.
darling.
Bye-bye. Bye.